Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my own personal list of what I think are the best amp sims for metal. Let's get into it. So what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. My name's Ray. I'm a guitar player here on YouTube. I'm so jacked up, so jazzed up, and so excited to make this video because a lot of you people... Gizmo! Woo! That's Gizmo, everybody. So getting back on track, yeah, a lot of you guys have been asking me what my favorite amp sims are for metal. I'm gonna give you a list, give you 2 honorable mentions, and then we'll get out of here, okay? So when creating this list, I wanted to come up with some criteria because there's a dozen, and there's more than a dozen, there's several dozen amp sims out there anymore. Over the past like 4 or 5 years, they've just been blowing up in terms of every company has an amp sim every month, it seems. So for me, what I'm looking for is originality, budget, and the built-in features with the plugin, okay? Now, if you want to play along, leave down below in the comment section your favorite amp sim for metal, and I'll meet you down below and we'll mix it up and we'll have a nice... Let's have a nice heated argument in the comments. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll meet you down below and we'll mix it up, talk all things amp sims, alright? And last thing I'll say before we get into the list, I've done individual videos for every single amp sim on this list, okay? So if you're curious about the sounds and my opinions in a more detailed fashion, I've got videos on all of these, okay? Cool. So let's get started. First honorable mention is Amped Roots from ML Sound Lab. Yes, Fluff's signature plugin, amp sim, whatever you want to call it. I love this thing. First off, right off the bat, you get a free plugin and a free amp sim just by downloading it. You get the EVH 5153 EL34, but you also get 3 other amplifiers if you want to actually purchase it as well. So that's super cool, man. Just right to the point, no frills, just bare bones, stripped down amp sim, and it's not a lot of money, and like I said, right off the bat, you get one for free. And the other honorable mention is the Clairton Grindstein pedal from Audiotory. I love the Grindstein in real life. I'm very fortunate enough to own a physical copy of one of those things. But yeah, just I think there's a new movement of like not getting super pristine, clean tones anymore, like clean high gain tones, if that makes any sense, like polished tones. I think the movement of like really nasty sounds are coming back. And that's really refreshing for me because I love that and it's really inspiring for me. So the fact that you have the Grindstein in plugin format is super awesome. But the reason why it's not on the actual list itself, it's an honorable mention, is because the features are a little bit limited. But apart from that, man, you get the nasty, awesome, disgusting sounds of the Grindstein in plugin format. Can't go wrong. So let's get into the actual list. Coming in at number 5 is the STL Tones Will Putney Suite. Yes, this is a tried and true 3-year-old now plugin, give or take. And it has so much built into it. It has 4 high gain amplifiers, a 5152, a Bogner Ubershaw, a Triple Crown from Mesa Boogie, and a Diesel VH4. I mean, that's enough right there, right? But it's also got bass tones. It has album tones from Will's Actual Works, etc., etc. Yeah, it just has a ton of built-in, man. And one thing that I love about STL Tones' tones in general, I just think they're just the most like mix ready. Certain plugins and plugin companies, like they struggle with a lot of low end or too much low end. I think STL Tones nails the low end very, very well in their plugins. That's just a personal thing, just one man's opinion. They're just ready to go. You don't have to do any like low cut or high cut or anything like that. Again, just other plugins and amp sims in my experience, like they do great on their own, the isolated chugs, but when you throw them into the mix, they're incredibly muddy. The Will Putney is a perfect example of how it's just mix ready, and that's just my own opinion. So number 5, Will Putney. Number 4, we're sticking with STL Tones, is the SDL Tonality Andy James. Now this one is probably the one I've used the most in my history as a musician, as a creator. I use it all the time, almost every single day. Like 90% of the time when I'm practicing, when I'm just noodling around here and I just want to mess around, I throw on the Andy James. It has everything personally that I could want. It's got an EVH, it's got an EVH 5150, it's got a PV 6505, and a Vox AC30. I'm a simple man. I don't really need a lot of bells and whistles. But I remember when it came out like 2.5 years ago, that was one of the first plugins to model an EVH amplifier. And I don't know, just, it's all modeled, it's not real, but just something about seeing the EVH amplifier was inspiring to me. And even to this day, like I said, every time I practice, every time I just want to mess around, noodle around, even write, I use the STL Tonality Andy James. Yeah, it's just probably my favorite one out of the STL Tonality suites that STL Tones has to offer. Coming in at number 3, the OG of game changers for plugins and amp sims, in my opinion, is the Fortin Nameless Suite from Neural DSP. I remember when this thing came out over 4 years ago now, right? Well, about 4 years, 3.5 years ago. Yeah, 3.5 years ago. I had to do some math there. When that came out, man, it just changed everything. You know, there were amp sims and plugins before with certain companies, but when the Enamel suite came out, that's when things became serious. And that's when amp sims and plugins just weren't like a cute little thing. Like, it was like, these are like, you know, really awesome tones, and like they can be used in like heavy quality productions, you know what I mean? So the Enamel suite just really just pushed the bar. And congrats to Neural DSP and everybody who created it. Congrats to Fortin, man. Another reason why the Fortin Enamel suite is so high up on this list is because it is the most unique sounding. You know, a lot of amp sims, they kind of do the same thing and sound very similar and are modeling the same amplifiers, right? The Enamel suite, I swear to you, I could pick out of a lineup. You know what I mean? Like an audio lineup. It just sounds the most unique. It's the most rowdy. It's the most intense. It's the toughest to tame. Ton of high end, ton of noise, ton of low end. But when you get it right, it's just, oh, it's so good. So I don't use it so much anymore, but I have to give credit where credit's due, man. It really just changed the game, and it's just the most intense sounding for sure. Coming in at number 2 is the Archetype Gojira from Neural DSP. This thing's been out for about a year now, maybe a little bit more. You know, all Neural DSP's plugins sound amazing, but I will say the archetypes are starting to get a little similar. And that's not a bad thing, but I will say if I had to pick one of the archetypes, I'd go with the Gojira. It has like the most, I don't even know how to describe it. Just something about like that one amp with like all the blocks on it or whatever. Just like, it just has like this level of like thickness and like just chunkiness and heaviness. It's also got some great presets from my peers, as well as some of my new favorite bands. It's got like Loathe presets in there and everything, so that's really cool, man. Again, all the Neural DSP plugins are great. It's hard to pick. And they're all kind of doing the same thing, but if I had to pick one of the archetypes, I'd go with Gojira, and the Gojira is definitely my favorite out of all of the ones that they've created. But my number 1 amp sim for 2022 is, at this moment, STL Tones AmpHub. Yes, a wild card coming out of left field, man. And I'm going to tell you why right now. The thing I love about AmpHub the most is this. It's not done being built. It's not a finished product. That's amazing. You know, when you think about it, like all these other plugins and amp sims, they're done. You know, they're out, they're a product, they're a finished product, and you get what you buy, right? With AmpHub, what's cool is like, it's you don't know what's gonna, you don't know what the next update's gonna have. You know, AmpHub has had a slow burn. It first came out about a year and a half ago, give or take, and it just slowly has grown into something awesome and amazing. And now, as a metal player, it has some of the best modeled features that I've ever seen. For example, it has a modeled HM2. Like, what company spends time modeling like the craziest pedal? STL Tones did it, man. Like, they have a modeled HM2 in there. It's got a Fortin 33. It's got a precision drive from Horizon Devices in there. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in there, man. It's just like, it's so cool. The amplifiers themselves, it's got like JCM 800s, 6505s, 5150s, Victory amps in there, Orange amps. It's got all this stuff built in, and it's not done growing. And that's the coolest thing, man. You know how I said a couple minutes ago, the new fad, the new trend of the guitar game is like disgusting tones, like the grindstein? Well, the fact that STL Tones has hopped on board and got an HM2 in there, it's like they kind of get it. They kind of see where things are going, and I think I see where things are going. It's just like the disgusting sounds and like the low tunings, but not super shreddy, just like the riffs, the baritones, the heavies, the disgustings, the grosses, the gross eyes, whatever. Anyway, man, I'm just incredibly biased because I love the HM2, but just HM2 aside, the fact that STL Tones is continuing to grow AmpHub, it's inspiring, and it's just like, you never know what they're gonna do next, man. So as a metal player, as a creator, as somebody who's constantly changing out rigs in the real world, the fact that you can do that in a digital platform and then record it with it, it's a win for me. So I'm super stoked on AmpHub, and that's my favorite amp sim of 2022 for metal. So everybody, that's my list. What do you guys think of my list? Leave your thoughts down below. You know, I love all these companies that I mentioned and all their products, man. So they all can't be number 1. So I just wanted to create a fun little video and yeah, just hang out with you all and give you guys some insight on where my brain's at as a creator and as an artist, okay? So everybody, thank you so much for watching. Leave your list down below, and I'll meet you down below in the comments. I'm out of here. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay metal, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.